Hi, and welcome to the Market Alert for Tuesday, the 12th of August 2025. So, very quiet yesterday. The dollar jumped, gold dumps, and stocks slump ahead of the CPI numbers. Dash for trash continues ahead of the potential CPI scare tomorrow, which of course is today. CPI preview, only a shocking hot number will derail a September rate cut. So, if we see the year-on-year figure move higher, significantly higher, will it derail a cut in September? So it looks like, as I mentioned yesterday, that the market is expecting a cut in September. The question then, of course, is how big is that cut going to be? US stocks marginally declined amid quiet catalyst and cautiousness heading into CPI data. They're making a big deal out of this, aren't they, this month? Markets chop in tight ranges as CPI awaits. So let's have a look then. These numbers are out today. We looked at them briefly yesterday. 1:30 p.m. It's anything to look at because that's what the market's going to be waiting for. We've got the CPI, the core CPI, which is 0.3, and the month-on-month is forecast at 0.2, and then the year-on-year at 2.8. All of these, well, actually not all of them. The core and the year-on-year are the ones that are forecast to be higher. They're called the CPI numbers for a reason, and that is because nobody really believes them. But unfortunately, this is the authorized official numbers. Manipulated, we know they are. So it's a matter of seeing what these numbers come out at 1:30 p.m. as to whether, going forward, whether the Fed actually cut rates or not. But if you want the real numbers, then go to John Williams' site, Shadow Stats, and you'll see here you can get the alternate inflation charts. And he's kept these for years, all based upon what was included in the 1980s all the way through. You can see there back all the way to 1983. You can see where the inflation rate is at the moment. You've got the SGS alternates, CPI based at 1980s and CPI-U. If you have a look on there, it'll tell you exactly what these mean. But you can see just by looking at the graph that the numbers are nowhere near what we're looking at here at 0.3. 2.8, you just go there and you can see that we're way up at 4%, 8%, depending on which one you look at, and then 10% and over 5% as well. So if you want a more realistic look at what's happening with the CPI numbers, John Williams at Shadow Stats is the site to actually look at. I'll just bring this down a bit so you can see there. John Williams is Shadow's Government Statistics. So that's where we are with the CPI numbers. Let's see what happens today. There seems to be a big deal being made of them, and of course the reason behind that is because it's going to depend, or the results are going to depend on whether the rates are cut and how much they're cut next month. Right, let's have a look at the markets. It said in the headlines very quiet yesterday, and I'd expect the same this morning as well until they release these numbers at 1:30 p.m. But let's have a look at the Dow. So in the Dow yesterday, we've got the market down, stuck in this sideways range, which you can see there, 30-minute chart. So we had a bit of a sell-off in the cash market trying to make its way back up on the overnight there, trading down towards yesterday's low and moving off this, heading towards the DP. Like I say, there's not a lot to report in these charts today. Same for the German DAX. Let's have a look at that. So German DAX stuck in a sideways range as well, as you can see there, trying to move back up after yesterday's down day. It was down for most of the day. We had a bit of a sell-off there at the beginning of the session. The 200 MA there holding the market. You can see the buying coming in. Retest just a bit later on before the close. And overnight at the moment bouncing quite nicely, trying to get back to yesterday's high, which means if we look at the daily chart, we are looking for a reversal of sorts in this to keep that sideways move intact, so heading back towards the high there. In the S&P 500, again, same thing. We've got the market moving up. We had a close below the 5-bar moving average yesterday, but overnight the market's moving up. We need to get through the 78 and 89 to get back to the all-time high there at 64.36. 30-minute chart, just like the Dow, shows the cash market moving higher to begin with, then some profit taking coming in, and then we've got the shorts taking profits and then bringing the buying it back, and overnight at the moment we're above the DP, heading back towards the high there. Meanwhile, in the UK, everything's fine and dandy on the economy. We have no debt problems, we have no inflation problems, we have no growth problems, we have nothing, because the market is showing that we're at all-time highs and heading back there at 91.90. And of course, we know that's complete and utter tosh. Overnight, the markets are moving higher as well. And yesterday, bucking the trend with the other markets, the FTSE moved up quite nicely, managed to break the 200 MA in the 30-minute chart and has stayed above this overnight, and the DP and the close and the high. Gosh, Starmer's doing a wonderful job along with Rachel from accounts. Just look at this market moving to the upside. It's quite incredible, to say the least. Let's have a look at the US dollar for yesterday. And the US dollar shot up. I don't know why, but it did. Probably because Putin, Zelensky and Trump are supposed to be meeting in Alaska on Friday, if it comes off, of course. It could be something that's just been put out there to try and support the markets or whatever, but we'll have to wait and see. So we'll go from CPI today to any sort of confirmation that there is going to be that meeting, and then the market will be waiting to see what happens on Friday. It is August. It is quiet in August, so no surprises there really. So let's have a look at the metals markets. As it said in the headlines yesterday, that gold was down, so let's take a look. So in yesterday's session, we see silver taking a bit of a beating, and overnight the market reversing off this. It was, like I said before, any excuse to hammer the price, they will do. It wasn't so much Smackdown Friday as Smackdown Monday there, as you can see there early on in the morning. Then we've got the LBMA, and then going into the evening as well, the market down once more, but moving off the low of yesterday at 37.50 and moving higher at the moment. Meanwhile, gold getting a hammering down to the 50 EMA, but bouncing off this overnight. And the 30-minute chart there, you can see a gradual decline in prices yesterday, whilst the markets were open and moving up in the Asian market there at this time. So a quick look at the gold-silver ratio. So nice to see that this is still moving down. Yesterday we had a bit of a move to the upside because gold, despite the fact that gold was down, silver was down more, which is what it's showing there. But overnight, gold is not moving as well as silver is in its recovery in the Asian session at the moment, moving back to the upside there. Right, let's have a quick look at yesterday's trades. Bit of a sideways, sorry state of affairs, but the market's, of course, waiting for those CPI numbers. So in the pre-market session, prices tried to move higher. They set the tone then really for the remainder of the session. They moved up a little bit before the open, but as soon as the cash market opened, it was a one-way bet all the way down to the low, where the market decided to go through it and then test the market below this level before then trying to come back. We then had a potential buy signal, but the tone was already set for the day. The move was already made, was already baked in, as they say, and then the market became sideways, and that set the tone then for the remainder of the DAX, which then saw a loss there, and then another loss to the in the afternoon session I'm thinking of, where we had the similar pattern, which you'll see in just a moment. So there we had the market moving back below the low, in line with the trend, but you can see there an 89% retracement before prices then traded sideways to higher, and an attempt to get back above the low past the 10 a.m. cutoff, and we can go all the way over to the afternoon as the market was once again range bound, and then into the Dow, where once again the DAX decided, having moved quite nicely during the morning, mid-morning, and with the Dow futures then decided to trade sideways once more, with more losses coming in, which you'll see there. And then this is the one I was thinking about earlier, which I said the same pattern in the afternoon. The potential buy signal after the Dow move, and then we've got a potential sell. This time it didn't work out as it did in the morning session, and then we've got the market moving back up in the afternoon, just up to the 50 EMA, and then my internet connection went off, and the market stopped trading there for me for a couple of hours before it then came back online. Okay, that's it for yesterday's trades. Just have a quick look, see where we are, and we know from the 30-minute chart that things are moving up quite nicely at the moment, which you can see there coming off the DP. Is it a case of moving the markets up before the cash market opens at 8, and we then see another decline ahead of those CPI numbers, which I suspect is going to be the case unless the numbers have been leaked, which is not uncommon, and they know that there's a positive there for a rate cut, because the forecasted numbers are actually, or the real numbers are going to come out lower than the forecasted ones. We'll see, only time will tell. All right, that's it for this one. Let's see what happens at 1:30 p.m. But as ever, have a great day, and thanks for watching. I shall see you in the next one.